I'm Carl Vandermeulen, Vice Chair. We'll start with calling the roll. I see Supervisor Bauer and Supervisor Wilsey. Supervisor Calabrese, our chair, is joining us today via Zoom. Is Supervisor Gilbert not here, I guess? Okay. Next is approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion for approval? Supervisor Bauer, second. Supervisor Wilsey, seconds. Any discussion or adjustments? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next, staff reports. Starting with the courts.
I don't have anything additional to add to my report unless there's any questions.
I just got one, just a comment, maybe more than anything. Is that elected to the Wisconsin court thing something you wanted, or did you get railroaded into it?
I kind of got roped into it to be the treasurer.
Well, congratulations anyway.
Well, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to add my congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Several of you involved in extra county activities, and yeah, it's sometimes feels like extra, but it also, I think, gives you a different perspective on things and gives you a chance to serve more broadly. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll just say another thing we appreciate is money going back to the general fund. I noted your the likelihood that about 80,000 will be going back. That's since one of the hardest things all year is getting that budget balanced and paying our bills. We appreciate all departments who can save money in any way they can. So,
thank you.
Any other comments on for Katie or questions? Okay, next up is CJCC. Is Sarah available? Or
yeah. Good evening. I'm remote here. I've also been under the COVID weather, so I thought I'd spare everyone spreading of germs by appearing remotely. I have nothing further to add other than I appreciate the sheriff and his staff escorting our Department of Justice site visit with Brad Kelly, a grant manager. So I just want to give a little shout out to Sheriff. Thank you.
Sarah, do you actually have COVID, or are you just concerned that you might have?
Pretty close contact, and others around me were getting sick, and I'm feeling ill, but so far negative.
Okay, we hope it stays that way.
Yeah, me too.
I noted that your treatment alternatives and diversion grant went from 99,000 to 166,000. That's quite an increase. Is that just part of the process, or did you apply for more, or how'd that happen?
Thank you for the question. Yes, we applied for more. There was an opportunity for an expansion and enhancement funds. These are additional dollars that the state legislature put towards TAD funding. So we were able to secure more funding for personnel costs and a little bit more for operating costs to really try to reach more individuals that could benefit from the program.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Congratulations on your work as Capital Ambassador for the Wisconsin Counties Association. Again, service on the statewide level.
Thank you. I have hopefully, if I remain COVID-free, I have 6 appointments set up at the Capitol with all 6 legislators that represent our county. So it should be a good start.
Good. Good luck with those. Next, the District Attorney's Office. Andrea. anything to add to your reports?
Yeah, just a few things. I wanted to mention there was a news article by WQOW about a child sexual assault case. And I guess it's sort of changed since I've been the DA here in Dunn County. It used to be where we would see Barb Lyon and Pam Powers actually, come to court and attend hearings, and that doesn't happen anymore. It just seems like the news stations get a copy of a criminal complaint and, do a story. It's not reporting like we used to see back in the day. And, they don't really seek public comment very often, or my comment very often. But I did contact WQOW about that case, as I think it creates a lot of public questions about, the broad range of resolutions in a case. And I just wanted you to know that my office views a child sexual assault that's committed by another child against another child very differently than, an adult versus a child. And so the statute of limitations is something where, if a child discloses, 10, 15 years later, my office can still charge a child for that event, for that sexual assault that occurred a decade ago, but now the perpetrator is now an adult. And so it's sort of an issue in our law, because if it's disclosed right away, it usually goes through our juvenile system. It's a closed proceeding. The public never knows. We don't send usually juveniles to, prison for 25 years. And so that article, I don't think mentioned that the sexual assault occurred while the defendant was a child. And so I just wanted you to be aware, if you see an article like that, and if you ever have questions, feel free to let me know. A lot of things go into every different case, but, victim input too. Sometimes victims do not want to go to trial. They will not, testify. And so sometimes it's better to get something rather than nothing. But, and there are certain cases too, if a child is under the age of 12 and there's full intercourse, there is, a minimum mandatory sentence of 25 years. So if they're convicted of that, the judges don't have discretion. They go to prison for 25 years. And so I just think it creates a lot of confusion, and the reporting isn't what it should be, in my opinion. So I've tried to address that a little bit, but I don't have control over what the media does. It just seems to go out there. My office is working on the Ezra McCandless appeal. That's the homicide trial from 2021, but it took a whole lot of my life, and it's back again. So we'll be working on that. It's like a 80-page brief and 30-page appendix. So don't really look forward to writing that brief, but it is what it is. These big cases never seem to go away. So also the officer involved shooting case, I will eventually receive that review from the Division of Criminal Investigation, and then issue a written decision, but I will likely wait for the full autopsy, and so I can see the toxicology as well of the man that was shot over the weekend. And then also I do have some, money left over that will be going to the general fund, but a big chunk of that is for a employee who I anticipated was going to retire in 2022. And so I'll probably have that hopefully in 2023. I don't know if it'll be used, but I anticipate there will be a retirement in 2023, and both on the prosecutor side as well as the support staff. That's it.
Yeah, any questions for Andrea?
It just seems like you got a lot of video you got to watch now. You're saying in your statement here about the disc and all the body cameras, and is that taking up more time than you expected, or is it kind of just, it is what it is, I guess?
Well, it is what it is, but I kind of miss back in the day. An officer wrote a report and put them on the stand, and that's what it was. And now it's all kinds of videos, and it takes a lot of time, but it's what the public wants, and we're just going to have to deal with it.
Are the video cameras on more of the time than they need to be, or is that kind of mandated?
Yeah, my understanding is they're on pretty much all the time if they're interacting with individuals. So, you know, and it's usually more than one officer. So multiple recordings, you know, from if, you know, simple OWI, by the time they make the stop, have contact, you know, take them to the hospital for their blood draw, that's all being recorded with their body camera.
So have they got AI to the point where it'll help with this yet, viewing some of these videos for you and finding the things a human would be looking for?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, when you get some of the private pay big attorneys who can pay to have a defense attorney and all their staff watch all that, you know. Not every case goes to trial. So, you know, you don't have to, my office won't be viewing every single recording that comes up to my office. I just don't have the time. So, but yeah, when there's motion hearings and trials, it's going to be lengthier for sure.
Have you found ways to improve the download time?
No, there's the IT's working, been working on it, and we've confirmed that they thought that maybe our office manager just had a bad connection. And so then we tried 2 other support staffs and 2 of the attorneys, and we're all slow, like across the board. So the county is faster, but that's really not ideal to have to switch between workstations.
Other questions? Okay, next up, child support, Josie.
I have nothing to add unless there are questions.
Well, again, I'll note your service on the Policy Advisory Committee. Good professional experience, good contribution to the broader system. Anybody else? Okay, emergency management, Melissa.
Hi there. I really don't have anything to add to my report unless you do have some questions on something.
I was curious, children grades 3 to 5 getting a preparedness course. What sort of course content is there?
Originally, the Red Cross had some curriculum that they use for what the course is called a pillowcase project. And so every child would get a pillowcase, and on that pillowcase, you would just design what you would need, you know, in a possible emergency. And, you know, it's just kind of interactive with the children. They get to keep the pillowcase, you know, and take it home just kind of as a reminder of things that they would possibly need to put in a kit, you know, if there was an emergency, or things that they may need to do or think about to be prepared for an emergency. Unfortunately, that course, you know, didn't go off the way we had planned, and we kind of had to come up with our own. So we just did some interactive games about some severe weather situations, like, you know, if you're outside playing, you know, and, you know, a storm comes up, what do you do? What do you do if there's lightning in the area? Things like that, how to handle those types of situations. And, you know, what might you need in a kit if you lost electricity, you know, flashlight, batteries, you know, possibly candles, different things like that. So that was kind of the, you know, kind of the mode we went with, you know, teaching those. Like I said, there were 7 children in that class. And the parents all stayed with them. It was an option. You could just drop your kids off for the 45 minutes to an hour, you know, and leave them with us, and we would go through the course. The parents all decided to stay, which was really good. It worked well because public health has a survey that they're trying to get some people to partake in. And so it was nice that we could actually have the parents of the children, you know, go ahead and complete that survey. So it was some added information for them too. So yeah, it was good. We plan on, you know, hosting another one, maybe in a more rural area. One of the individuals that we had drove from north of Bloomer to come over for the course. So I think there was definitely some interest in it. We hosted it during the Christmas break. We thought it might be something for the kids to do on their time off. But maybe a Saturday would be a good time to host something like we're thinking in Boyceville or Colfax or possibly Sand Creek, kind of a more rural area in case people couldn't get down to Menominee during that time frame. So yeah, I think that the people that did, participate, they were pretty excited about it and thought that it went well.
Thank you. Anybody else? Questions from Melissa?
Okay.
Okay. So our medical examiner, Marcy.
Good evening. The only thing to add is, as Andrea mentioned, our office is working with the district attorney's office and other agencies on the officer involved shooting over the weekend. But as far as what was reported, submitted in my report, I don't have any other additions.
On the, sorry, I jump right into that. Thank you. On the overdose, 50% increase is quite heavy, isn't it? I mean, and is there an age group that's particular age group? Are they targeted? I mean, it's kind of.
No, our age group in the last 5 to 6 years has widened drastically. We have overdoses occurring as old as 76 years old, using illicit drugs. So we used to be able to have a much more narrow age group of drug overdoses, and now we can't ever decide based on age or take that into consideration what types of tests to not authorize, because there's no way of guessing anymore.
Thanks for the information. At least it's something we need to be aware of. These are hard things to think about what anybody can do anything about it, but I know the sheriff has talked about dealing with these kinds of issues too. Anybody else? Questions for Marcy? Okay, Sheriff.
Obviously, we had a deputy involved in the officer-involved shooting over the weekend, along with Menominee Police Department. I certainly can't get into any details about it, but the deputy's doing fine. None of the officers were injured, so deputy's doing good, and extremely proud of the work that my staff did involving that, and hopefully, obviously, we'll be able to share more down the line, but. The district attorney has to review the investigation reports from DCI. We have an outside agency come in to investigate it to make sure, and they document what happened. They turn it over to the DA. The DA reviews it and determines whether, there's certainly, if there's probable cause to charge somebody in a homicide, for example, or anything like that. So that's where we're at. I, at this point, really kind of stay out of it as a department head. And take care of my staff is my biggest role in that at this point. So other than that, happy to announce that my term as 2-year term as president of Wisconsin Sheriff and Deputy Sheriff's Association is coming to an end in February. So I'm still on the hook for 2 years as past president, but no, and it's a good example. It's opened my eyes. It's allowed me to kind of see what happens statewide and the impact that sheriffs and deputy sheriffs, the organization that I'm president of, has on legislation and things like that. So it's been a good experience, but it's time for somebody else to take it over now. So
I appreciate your work there.
You bet.
I'm curious, when an officer is involved in a shooting like this, so what's their life like for the next week or two? Do they get time off from work? Do they get counseling?
Kind of all of the above. I leave it up to the deputies as to what their comfort level is. I encourage them to seek counseling, and most of them, do it voluntarily now. There's no black cloud over that. There's no stigma behind getting mental health counseling anymore. When I started in this career, it was, get tough or die type of an attitude, and that's long gone. We certainly encourage them to seek assistance and talk to somebody. In cases like this, we have, a couple options. My agencies used to wait to bring an officer back to work until the district attorneys had a chance to review it and make a determination on the case. I don't take that position because it'll be a month probably before she sees the case. I kind of leave it up to the officer. I encourage them to take some time off. I welcome them to come to the office and do light duty if they want. They don't work patrol for at least a week. And after that, I kind of judge by their comfort level of returning back to work, and if they've, had counseling and a debriefing and things like that. Obviously, if there's, something concerning over the incident, I would wait, for the DA to make a determination. But once I get enough information, as in the past, I was able to review body cam footage or, and things like that, see what happened myself, was comfortable bringing somebody back to work, before the DA had an opportunity to see the case. I mean, DCI does a very thorough job, but unfortunately, it'll be a month probably before she sees the reports and all the body camera footage and everything that goes along with it. And she needs time, obviously, to review all that and make a determination. So it's more damaging sometimes to leave a deputy sit at home and twiddle his thumbs than it is to bring them back to work when they're comfortable coming back to work. So I encourage my staff, that I've had in these situations to come spend time at the office and do some light duty if they want. It almost feels like a punishment to them if you don't allow them to come back to the office, and it's more damaging mentally to them to be almost separated from their family, so their work family. So I kind of let it play out by ear when on their comfort level, and that'll be the case in this situation as well.
Good, thank you, I appreciate that. Anybody else questions?
Chair Vandermillen?
Yes.
Chair, this is Chris Corpola. Say, I at the county board meeting last week, a question was raised by Supervisor Lino about the sheriff's department lease of a transport van instead of a lease. And I had asked the question in an email to the sheriff and chief deputy, and they replied, but I wondered if this committee might like to hear that answer from the sheriff.
Sure.
that was money actually carried forward from the 2021 budget that because of supply and demand, there were no vehicles at the time to purchase. So Marshall, my chief deputy, has been working on that for about over a year, trying to secure a vehicle for purchase. The downside to a lease, and we may look at that in the future, but they have to cut, we call it the B pillar behind the back seats. They have to cut the trim out of that and secure a cage in there and do some things to that I don't think they'd be real happy about having done to a leased vehicle. But it's certainly something we're going to consider in the future if Enterprise, who's leasing, the fleet cars here, is okay with that. I guess I'm okay with leasing, but we'll put anywhere from 120 to 150,000 miles on a vehicle in 2 to 3 years. So having video court now is cut down on some of that, but somebody can appear in court from Eau Claire County Jail, so we don't have to send two transport officers over to get them and bring them back, so it's cut down on some of that, but we'll kind of play it by ear with the mileage as we go forward and what Enterprise is willing to allow us to do to a vehicle to make them secured. Obviously, we put a cage right behind the driver's seats so an inmate in there can't get to the driver and cause him harm. But that's why you see the purchase. Yeah, one last thing I'd like to just throw in is a plug for our new EAP that we went to. Employee Assistance Program, the one we had over the last 3 or 4 years. We've had officers involved in traumatic incidents and tried to get them help. And at most, they got a text message from somebody checking in on them. And we've already had a significantly better experience with the new employee assistance program we have now. And we've got counseling sessions lined up already, local, not somebody from Milwaukee, looking to talk to one of my deputies by phone, so that was a significant improvement. And I appreciate the county board supporting that change to a different provider.
Good to hear that. Yeah. Chris, anything else?
No, nothing on my end.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions for the sheriff? Okay, items placed at the request of the chair, none. Actions to be taken, none. Resolutions and ordinances from the committee. It says there's a 2023 budget adjustment for the sheriff's office. Just run through what this is, Sheriff.
Here, this is a body grant or body camera grant that the state opened up, allowing us to buy 2 additional cameras for our staff. There's a 50-50 match on that. We were budgeted to purchase 2 of them already this year. This will allow us, we accept this money. It allows us to buy 4 with this grant funding. So budgeted, well, they're almost $5,000 a piece, I think, for body cameras. So this will allow us to purchase 4 instead of 2. We have to match it, but we were budgeted for 2 already anyhow. So.
What is the life expectancy of a camera of that cost?
Well, hopefully until I retire, but it's like any electronic device. They kind of compare it to, how long do you keep a cell phone? We're hoping 5 to 8 years, maybe even longer. Motorola is the company that now owns WatchGuard, is the company we use, and they're pretty durable. I switched to them, WatchGuard, when I was the captain, probably back in 2014. And we went from like watching Andy Griffith on grainy TV to watching high def video now. So the technology's improved. Hopefully there's either a trade-in or buyback if technology improves significantly even more, but we're hoping at minimum 5 to 8 years, but we kind of have to plan to replace as needed. We've got the current tasers we have are an electronic device that we've had for a lot of years in service, but that's another thing. We're looking at $50,000 now to try and replace 30 to 40 tasers on the department, because we got some in the jail and 1 for every deputy for sworn officers. So it's always a mystery with electronic devices, how long they'll last. I swear that cell phones, they program them to eventually die. So you have to buy a new one, but I don't think that's the case with body cameras.
Okay. I think we need a motion to approve this adjustment to the 2023 budget. Supervisor Bauer moves, Supervisor Wilsey seconds. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes then. Announcements? Any announcements? Supervisor Calabrese, do you have any?
I do not. And thank you for running the show today, Carl. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Hope you're doing better soon.
Me too. Thank you.
Next meeting, February 27 at 4:30. And hearing nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you.